Hello Internet and welcome to the 10th episode of Razael Trove. In this episode I'll be going over gear combat and status conditions. If you haven't seen the first part of this combat explanation, please watch episode 9. Gears have 7 stats each. The attack stat is determined by multiplying the gear's engine output by the weapon or the attack multiplier if your gear doesn't use a weapon. The defense stat is determined by your armor and your accessories. Aether defense is calculated by adding your characters to your gear's armors. Response determines your gear's hit rate and evasion rate. The gear's hit rate is determined by your character's hit rate plus the gear's response, and the evade is your character's evade plus half of your gear's response. The agility stat and the weight stat have no difference from foot combat. The Aether amplifier stat is divided by 4 and then multiplied by your character's Aethers. There are 6 actions you can take while in gear combat. You could attack, use an item, or use an Aether. Activating Boost Run Gear grants it the Speed Up status in exchange for 2% of your maximum fuel each round. Charging causes your gear to recover some fuel. The amount recovered is determined by your attack level and also by your accessories equipped. The escape command has no changes for gear combat. Each of the different attacks you can perform has the same accuracy as they would on foot. Triangle attacks have a base hit rate of 70, square attacks have a base hit rate of 10, and cross attacks have a base hit rate of 0. All death blows have a base hit rate of 70, and all attacks in hyper mode have a base hit rate of 90. The damage calculation for gear combat is identical as well. If you are in combat against another gear, triangle attacks have a power of 0.25, square attacks have a power of 0.5, and cross attacks have a power of 1. However, if you're fighting an enemy that has no gear, the attacks have a power of 1, 2, and 3 respectively. The gear death blow formula is identical to the normal one. The power of each gear death blow will be listed on screen now. For phase death blows in infinite mode, they are all increased by 0.25 power. The random damage boost for gears goes anywhere from 0 to 6.6%. Next up is positive status effects. First up are the basic stat buffs. These buffs will last for the entire battle, so there is no need to refresh a bonus on a combatant. However, a bonus can only be used once. Using the same move on yourself twice is not going to do anything the second time. However, if you use a different move that targets the same stat, they will both stack. The next bonus is Speed Up. It halves the time you have to wait between turns. Speed Stars last 5 turns, Aethers last 10 turns, and Boosters last until they're disabled or until you run out of fuel. The Speed Shoes grants a permanent Speed Up effect to any character. Speed Up stacks with Slow in the stop conditions. Slow and Speed Up are opposites, and they will cancel each other out if they're both in effect. Stop, however, is unaffected by Speed Up. None of these conditions, however, will alter the amount of time that they would normally last for. If you have Speed Up for 5 turns, it's going to last 5 turns, even if you've been hit by the stopped condition. The next status condition is Play Dead. It lasts for the entire battle, or until 2 other allies have been defeated. There must be another ally on your team for you to be able to use this. While the effect is active, foes cannot target you, but in exchange you are required to only use Aether, Guard, or Item commands. Play Dead also counts as a physical effect for the purposes of removal. It can be ended by any item or Aether that would normally remove a physical debuff. The final buff on this list is Hyper Mode. Hyper Mode is a gear-only buff that lasts for 3 turns, and allows you to perform better death blows and boosts the amount of fuel that can be recovered 10 times. Hyper Mode is the oddest of the status conditions, as it has a random chance of activating on any turn. First formula to determine whether this will happen or not is used when your gear's HP is at full. When this is true, your gear's position in the battle is added to 1. The first position is 0, the second is 1, and the third is 2. This will determine your odds of entering hyper mode at the start of a battle, or when your gear's HP is at full. The second formula is your gear's max HP minus its current HP multiplied by 10. This number is divided by your max HP to give you the hyper mode modifier. The final formula is used whenever your hyper mode modifier is 0. Whenever it is set to 1 instead, so there is always a chance that you will enter hyper mode on any given turn. Once you have found what your hyper mode modifier is, you must next find how many hyper mode points you have. Each of the death blows you can perform in your gear grant you hyper mode points. The amount of points granted by each death blow will be listed on screen now. Whenever you enter hyper mode or the battle ends, the hyper mode points are set back to 0. The formula for determining your chance of entering hyper mode are your hyper mode points plus 5 multiplied by the hyper mode modifier. This formula will give you the chance that you will enter hyper mode on any given turn, assuming you meet all the requirements for doing so. To enter hyper mode, it is required that you have an attack level of 3. On top of this, to enter hyper mode, you can't use any attack that will lower your attack level, which includes anything besides using a death blow attack. Whether a character enters hyper mode or not is determined just before they take their turn in combat. Next up are debuffs, or negative status effects. There are 2 types of them, physical and mental. This typing only determines what needs to be done to remove them from a character. All effects last for the duration of a battle, unless otherwise specified. The blind, or camera damage, is a physical debuff that reduces the target's hit percent by 50%. Armor loss is a physical debuff to a gear's defense by a set percentage. It also has the ability to stack. Poison, or fuel leak, is a physical condition that causes the foe to lose 5% of their max HP or max fuel respectively at the end of each of their turns. Confusion is a mental debuff that causes the target to perform random actions. The chances of performing these actions is determined whether you're in a gear or on foot. The chance for each action to be taken will be shown on screen now. Additionally, this condition can be removed if the target is hit by a physical attack. Forget, or Aether Machine Shutdown, is a mental debuff that prevents the target from using their Aether abilities or Aether Machines. Slow is a mental debuff that lasts for 5 turns. It doubles the amount of time between turns and is the opposite of the status condition's speed up. The 2 status effects will cancel each other out. Dispel is an instant debuff that strips a combatant of all of their positive status effects. Stop is a mental condition that freezes the target's turn bar until the condition ends after 2 in-game seconds. That's all for this episode of Razael Trove. I hope you enjoyed it, and please look forward to my next video. Have a wonderful day.